to kind of backtrack a little bit, so after college, got a job, and we'll kind of circle back how this happened, but got a job at an energy company here in Oklahoma City doing community outreach.
Okay.
So they allowed me to work in schools on the east side of Oklahoma City. So I, in partnership with another company, we'd have two of us that do these kind of school-wide assemblies. So we'd go into these schools, we'd have a positive word of the month. We call it the hot seat. And so we had this stool that we painted red. We had a hot seat wrap, a hot seat mailbox where kids could like write us postcards. We're just there to like encourage students, right, and build relationships with students and teachers and families in the community. And so that was something that I did for many years, probably 6 or 7 years, of like 3 assemblies a week at multiple schools on the east side, just building relationships. And I found just naturally found this core group of guys, and we started spending time together. I'd go to their basketball games, started to know their families. We'd go to Thunder games and baseball games and just kind of spending time together, right? And so at that point, man, they were in like 2nd grade when I met them, and they're now like 21, it's like 22, they're doing their thing. But when they kind of got to middle school, they found out about fast food Valentines.
Okay.
And so we're like, yo, TDoe, like, we want to do this, right? And so before that, we hadn't really been dressing up. We hadn't done the limos. But when the guys wanted to like get involved, it's like, man, let's step this up, and like, why not? And so we rented tuxedos, rented a limousine, kind of stepped up our gift baskets, and we went around to places in Oklahoma City and delivered those. And so
awesome.
Kind of their acts of kindness landed them on the front page of the Oklahoman, and the news stations came and covered it. And so they were like the big dogs at the school the next day of being on the front page. Their teachers showed the news program, in class. And so they were it.
When you look forward to that once a year, right? It only happens once a year.
Yeah.
Let's knock it out and just kind of do that.
And so we have a blast. And obviously, I see them throughout the year, but just kind of the excitement builds around the beginning of the year. And then we have to go get fitted for tuxedos, and, we're dancing at Men's Warehouse and like just doing the whole thing, right? Like, we have a blast. And we always go out to eat before, and we handwrite and sign these postcards or these cards for the ladies. And so there have been a few of the women who have been there multiple years, like at Dairy Queen. We stop at this On Cue at Wendy's, and so they're like, "Oh, we remember we were hoping you were coming back this year." Or we went into a Dairy Queen, and one of the ladies was like, "I knew you would be back this year," And so just and it gets emotional sometimes, right? It's just like, "Hey, we think about you, we care about you, thank you," and then we're on to our next spot. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, in your TEDx, and for people listening, I will link your TEDx talk in the description down below. So after this, you can kind of go listen to it. But there was a significant moment, right? You're sat at the back of the limo. And you had this significant moment with Demarian, who was at our TEDx talk. And has he graduated OU yet?
No, he's
still at OU.
Sophomore.
Okay, yeah, he was going to OU, I think maybe last year then. And kind of, it was just a huge moment, right? And it was probably just at the time, you're working for Sandridge, you're having fun with the guys, you're doing what you want to do, community outreach, you're getting paid, you're having a good time, you're giving back. It seems like a dream job right now for you at that time.
For sure.
But then you get floored by this comment, right? By this moment.
Yeah.
So, tell the people of how that moment happened.
Yeah. Well, back to the tuxedos. I think there's something special that happens when you wear a tuxedo, right? When you get dressed up, you feel like $1 million, right? And so we're wearing tuxedos, we're in the back of this limousine, and so our conversation changes a little bit when you dress up, right? And so we're talking about making fake business deals and making money, right? We're kind of dreaming about the future just because we're in this tuxedo and feeling good. And so Demarion looks at me. We call him DJ. DJ looks at me and he's like, "TDoe, I want one of the good jobs when I get older. How do people get the good jobs? How do people become successful?" And I didn't have an answer for him in that moment. I knew that my story was complex. and I wanted to give him kind of a truthful answer. And so I kind of froze in the moment. And luckily Burger King saved me. We kind of pulled up to our next spot, and the guys hopped out. And so kind of by the time they got back, conversation had changed. And but that question really stuck with me was, hey, how do people get the good jobs? I want this. I'm ambitious. How do people become successful? And so that kind of led me down doing these interviews of people.